Hello, my crafty friends. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Linda Edwards. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold card. I don't know what it's called, but you can see that it opens like that. It's definitely a fun fold. It's a lot easier than it looks. And the highlight is this Coneflower Celebrations. Isn't that cute? Love, love, love the stamp set, the dies that come with it. And I'm going to show you how to do some shading. We're going to use some blends. We're going to use some two-tone paper. And yeah, just have a lot of fun creating today. So thank you for stopping by. As I said, we're using the Coneflower Celebrations. The card I'm going to make is actually going to be using some different designer series paper than the original card that I made. So we'll have some fun with that. You see, these are the dies. And there are quite a few more dies that come with it. There's some that I'm not using, but we'll go ahead and get started. So here's the card, the paper I'm going to use. These are the colors, so they're more the pinks than the peaches. And I wanted to just kind of do something a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the dimensions, and so you can write them down. I will post them in the description, so if you miss it, it won't be a problem. You can always see it there. But I'm starting with pecan pie, and the base is 11 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and it's scored on both sides at 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. I don't know if you can see that scored. And then I turned it around and scored again 1 3/8 and 2 3/4. So that you're gonna fold it and it's gonna look like that. So that's our card base. The base is a standard, fits in a standard envelope, so 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 is what you'll end up with. So we'll set that aside. And then there are quite a few layers. So this is the pecan pie as well. The panel is 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. And then there's another panel that's 3 1/2 by 3 1/8. Let's go from them. And then the strawberry slush is going to be layering on top of that. So I've got a 4 1/8 by 3 5/8. You can see how that layer is going to go. And then the next one is nope, that's for the inside. So, well, this one is for the inside. It's 4 by 2 3/4, and it's actually going to be layered. I had to look at my notes with white, so that's going to go on the inside. So this strawberry slush is 4 by 2 3/4, and then the basic white is 3 7/8 by 2 5/8. So that'll go on the inside. Then I've got some strawberry and two more strawberry slush. These are the side panels, and they are 1 1/4 by 4 1/8. So they're going to go like that, right? And go to the designer series paper. So this is the celebratory sips designer series paper, but we're not using it with the sips. We're using it with the coneflowers. So these side panels are 1 1/8 by 4. You can see they layer that way, and they're going to go there. And then I've got this foil. This is the Flower Garden foils. It's a strawberry slush. It comes in this graphic pattern and also in a floral. But I thought I'd just keep it, since I've got florals going on, I kept it with graphics. And this one is 3 3/8 by 3, and it layers with this other pecan pie. And then this one is another designer series paper from that celebratory sips. And this one is 4 by 3 1/2, and it layers here. So it'll go like that. So those are all the panels. And I think I'm gonna go ahead, except for this one, let's go ahead and get those assembled. Pretty straightforward. I think I'm going to need some new liquid glue. That one's going to go like that. I love this Coneflower set. I really feel like it leaves, there's a lot you can do with it. And, you know, I am a gardener. I love flowers, and really, I love the way they've got it set up so that you can have it folded. I think that's really clever, something kind of different. All right, that one. And there. Okay, time for new glue. I don't have the patience to deal with that last little bit, especially not on camera. There we go. So we made this card in my June card class, and really had some fun with it. I try to do a nice mixture of simple cards, straightforward, and then something that's a little more involved, like this fun fold. It was well received by the card makers at the class. There we go. Okay, and then this panel, just so that you know, I'm gonna go ahead and put that one in like that. So you can see that's how that one's gonna go. And you'll only put adhesive on the back of part of it. So what I like to do is I turn it over, kind of line it up. I'm looking so it's top to bottom, and I want it to be inside of this fold here. And then I can tell how far over I need to put my adhesive. Do that. Lay that out. Okay, I'm gonna set that one aside. I'll come back to that. So next, let's go ahead and do some stamping and die cutting. So this is the inside. So I just kept it simple. I'm going to bring in, this is the sunflower stamp. You can see that it's gotten some good use. So I'm gonna bring in, this is gonna be the inside of my card. I'm gonna bring in, I think we'll do it with Pretty in Pink, because I am gonna add a little bit of Pretty in Pink. So because the stamp is larger than the ink, I'm gonna do it this way, than the ink pad. And I want to stamp it off because I want this background to be really light. So let's see, that's pretty dark. I'm just testing it to see, yeah, I think second layer is gonna be good because I think third layer is just too light. So let's go ahead and it's always a good idea the first time you use your stamps to kind of test them a little bit so that you can decide. Looks like I had some previous ink on there, doesn't it? That's a different color. That's the other reason to test them. I know I cleaned it, but look at that. This is a little bit of blue in it, and that's more clear pink. So I'm really glad that I did test it a few times. So this is gonna be the inside. I'm gonna set this, clean this off. And I can put my sentiment. There's some really cute sentiments in this stamp set. I'm going to use the Happy Belated Birthday. You could say, I'm sorry I missed your special stay. Let's extend the celebration. That would be really cute if I did the Happy Belated Birthday on the outside and put that one on the inside. I wonder if I could do that. Maybe I'll wait. Let's wait and see. I'm not going to do that yet. Set that aside, and when we get it all put together, we will decide how we are going to do that. I think I forgot to tell you the other sizes. So I've got this is 2-tone cardstock. It's the Pretty in Pink, and it is 4 by 4 1/4, and we're gonna die cut this. And then I have a piece of peach pie, and this is 2 1/4 by 4. We're gonna die cut this piece as well. And then I have two pieces of scrap that essentially the white, it comes to be about a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I had these 2 scraps, so I'm gonna go ahead and use those. So that's the last of the paper measurements. So let's see, what do I want to do next? I think I'm going to do this part next. So this is the peach pie. No, because that has to be die cut. Let's do our stamping. So I'm going to bring in my stamp again, and this time I'm going to use Memento ink. And I cleaned off my stamp, so let's go ahead and use the Memento. I do have a pad. This surface is like a mouse pad, so it does have a cushion, and that's really important with these photopolymer stamps. I don't like the way that's inking. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and ink up this one here. Okay, set that aside. Clean that off. And now I'm gonna bring in the stamps for the leaves. Where's my other leaf? Ah, there it is. And the stem. And then we're gonna do some blending. Actually, let's do this one first. Am I off camera? So again, I'm using Memento because I'm going to be blending. I'm going to use, now of course, if you don't have blends, you could watercolor. You could cut the images just from paper. So you could use like just green paper and then stamp on the green paper. You wouldn't have to do the blending. So you've got some other options, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you a fair amount of blending today so that you can try it that way as well. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna die cut those. I'm trying to get all my stamping done so that I can die cut all at once. Let's see, so that, sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but I do wanna, I'm gonna have to stamp that guy again, but let's get these pieces die cut. And I'm gonna bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. These. Okay, so first thing I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and die cut this guy. Oops. So one of the things you'll notice is the die only lines up one way. And you see that? It's not quite lining up on the bottom of this flower. So we have to turn it this way. So make sure when you get your die, when you cut it, if you're gonna cut it out, that it lines up, because there is a side that will line up properly. So do that. I am gonna go ahead and use a little bit of the blue tape to hold that die in place. And I'm just using the standard sandwich with the base plate, cutting plate, and 2 cutting plates, excuse me, and the thin die adapter. Okay, and then we'll trim that off when we're done. So that's the first piece that needs to be die cut. Then I'm gonna bring in my 2-tone paper. And this doesn't really matter which side I cut it on, because we're gonna see both sides. So if you have a if you, yeah, it really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So that's the pretty in pink. So we're gonna make our sunflower now. See how that just all comes off. And then you've got sunflower. So it's darker pink on the outside and lighter pink on the inside. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna layer that. And then I'm also gonna bring in this peach pie and another die that is in the set. See, this die has some embossing along with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and line that up and run that through. And let's poke that through to get it started. And there, you can see that there's some embossing on there. And last but not least, let's bring, actually, I would like to color these first. Okay, let's color them first. I really should have colored the other one first too. But I got carried away with my die cutting. You know, when you do it on a video, I kind of like to get it all done at once, but really from a practical standpoint, it works better if you do your coloring first. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and die cut it. So for the green, I'm just gonna use lemon lime twist. There is old olive in the paper. Actually, you know what? I want to use granny apple green. Change my mind. Let's use granny apple green. I've got light and dark, but any of those, old olive, granny apple green, any of them will work. So I'm going to use the thin side. You know, your blends have a thin side and a thick side, and you can kind of tell by the picture and the mark there. And I'm going to start with the dark side, and I'm just going to go along the lines that Stampin' Up! Has already created. So there's like little stripe lines. And then I'm going to come back and blend it with the lighter color. The same thing here. And I'm using the thin side I think for obvious reasons, right? Especially when you're doing the blending here. So now I'm coming in with the thin, and I'm going over the dark and dragging the dark ink into the lighter area so that it's blending it out. There we go. And then because this is a little bit bigger, let's try the brush tip here. There we go. Again, kind of blending that darker ink into the lighter ink. Just gives it a little more interest. And I go over multiple areas to get a little more depth, and then leave a few areas lighter. Like I'm gonna leave that little bit of white there. I'm not gonna totally leave everything dark. All right. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and die cut those now. And then we'll do some more blending with the flowers. Okay. So these are a little tricky. So I do use the tape for them. Because my plates are bowed, I find it works good to kind of bend my die just a little bit, just gently. Move that over. I wonder if I can get these all on at the same time. So the leaves are two different shapes. So you do want to make sure you've got the right die. And yeah, I stamped them far enough apart that I can get them all on together and go through it one time. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, so the pieces now should all be die cut. So let's go get to coloring this piece. And I'm glad I didn't cut that off yet because I'll use that to hold it. So initially, the first thing I'm going to do is the cone. There is a separate die that you can use to cut out. Oh, this is light. I want the dark. To cut out the cone, to layer it if you want to, but I've got a lot of layers going on, so I decided not to add that additional layer. And I'm just coming in with the dark pecan pie, and I want to give it a little depth. So I'm going to just do some shading along the bottom here and up a little bit along the sides. And then I'm going to bring in the light pecan pie. And as I did before, I start on the dark, going over the dark, and then I come to the top and do just the lighter colors. And again, I'm going to try to leave it a little bit lighter in the middle. So can you see that there's some gradations of shading? The dark to the light. I could even do maybe just one more, a little bit darker there. There we go. Okay. So that's the pecan pie. So now I'm going to come in, and because I'm using different designer series paper, here, let's bring this up. I'm going to show you this one too. So for this one, because my colors were the Lemon Lolly and Timid Tiger, and pecan, and this was Petal Pink, I stuck with those colors to do my coloring, and I left a lot of white. So I'm going to do this one a little differently because I'm working in more of the strawberry slush colors. But I do want to keep it somewhat realistic because Coneflowers, they come in a lot of colors, but they're mainly the yellows, the browns. So I'm going to mainly stick with those colors. So I'm going to, again, try to do light to dark. I'm going to start with the Calypso Coral. I don't have the strawberry slush marker. Stampin' Blend. So I'm going to use Calypso Coral, and I'm going to start at the base, and I want it to be darker right under the cone. So I'm going to just go ahead. I'm not really worried about being too careful. I am going to come over it again. I know I'm going to do a lot of layering, and I'm also going to come down under these under petals. Can you see how like these petals are kind of underneath the top petals? So I know they're going to be a little bit darker because they're going to have a little shadow on them. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm using the light Calypso Coral. But I'm going to go over it with the dark and then back over it again with the light. So I'm really kind of playing around with these colors here, and I'm going to go back and forth until I get it to look the way I want it to. So now this is the dark Calypso Coral, and I'm going to bring that in and go here. Just up at the top. So you can see how that demarcation is really severe, which it's gonna look better as we keep going. Now I'm just using a light touch. I don't want my paper to start pilling. Now I'm coming in with the light Calypso Coral again, and I'm going over that top. I'm not going as far down as the pink. I'm kind of doing a third layer in between to just kind of soften up that line where the two colors meet. And I'll do the same here. Soften up that line there. All right, so see how it's just kind of more blurry now? The different colors, maybe do a little bit more here. All right, so, you know, that actually, I mean, that's pretty. It actually works better than you would expect, doesn't it, with the strawberry slush? I think the Calypso Coral works really well. But I'm gonna bring in a little more yellow because cornflowers do tend to have a lot of yellow in them. So this is Lemon Lolly, a very light, bright yellow. And I'm gonna go over all of it again with the Lemon Lolly. This is the dark Lemon Lolly. So it gives my Calypso Coral more of an orangey feel. And then I'm gonna come in with the light Lemon Lolly. And now this, I don't want to go, I want some of the white to stay. So I'm going over the dark. I'm just kind of trying to decide where do I want some of that white. So I'm primarily putting the yellow on those lines that Stampin' Up! Has given us, the shaded lines. And then I'm gonna come under here and do these darker petals. So you know, there are a lot of new coneflowers out on the market now. Used to be they were only purple, but a lot of these new colors have these like sunset, a lot of new flowers have a lot of these sunset colors in them. So that's what I was kind of going for. Trying to decide, do I want to do, I feel like I want to bring this color down a little bit more. So let's go in with, I'm nervous. You know, sometimes it's the hardest part is kind of knowing when to stop, but I'm going in. Do a little bit more, a little more color. Okay, I like that. What do you think? Because there's these peach pie in this paper, and I am doing, I am going to do this one too. Oh, you couldn't see that, I'm sorry. See, I'm trying to get it to coordinate with this paper, and then this is going to be another layer, and this is a layer. So I like having some of that pink, but I don't have the pink, petal pink. No, I have petal pink, but I don't have Pretty in Pink or Peach Pie blends. So I'm kind of working together to make it work. So don't be afraid to just play, right? All right. It's like a sunset. So pretty. Oh my gosh. I just love these colors, don't you? Ah, just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Ah. All right, one more. Again, this is the light Lemon Lolly. Just blending a little bit more over that Calypso Coral. I'm getting rid of all my yellow, my white, but I do want some of that white to stay. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't totally do everything. All right, I'm gonna stop. Gotta know when to stop. All right, I'm gonna bring this in. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in my blending brush, and I'm gonna do a little bit of blending on this peach pie, and I'm using Strawberry Slush. You're only gonna see the petals, the tips of the petals, but I think it will be really fun to add a little color there, just on the tips, to kind of make that transition from the pink to the peach. Oh, look at how pretty that is. And then that'll go on top of there. Oh, so pretty. All right, a little more there. And then, yeah, just a little bit more. And then, let me show you what I'm gonna do next. Okay, I think that's good. Now we're gonna stamp we're gonna stamp on here. So the stamp coordinates, you have to kind of pay attention here. I don't need let's see, do I want the outside? I know I want the inside, yes. I want to stamp on the inside very lightly. Line it up. So remember I talked about the die and how you have to line up the die. You're gonna do the same thing with the stamp. It lines up on this side very well. If I turn it over, it does not really line up. So not a big deal, but I think it makes a difference. So I think the inside, I want to stamp the inside with the pretty pink, and I'm going to stamp it off because I don't want it to be really, I don't want it to be that dark. I want it to be more like that. So stamp it off, and then I'm going to line it up, and it doesn't really need to line up perfectly. It's okay if it's a little bit off. That's okay. Wasn't as light as, it's a little lighter than I want, but it's going to be okay. This side, I'll go ahead and do full strength. So let me, yeah. This one. Okay. So when we put it on, there's a little hint of color there, but that's okay. So this is gonna layer here. This one's gonna layer here, and then like that. So let's stamp, yeah. And I might just do a little more strawberry slush here as well. Right over the pretty in pink. Do you play like this when you're creating your cards? I hope you just play and work with what you've got. Use your paper and your colors, you know, based on what colors you've got. If you don't have everything, there we go. See how that just adds a little interest? You won't see a lot of it because it's going to be hidden under the other layers, but it still adds some interest. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stamp the inside. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to stamp it with Happy Belated Birthday, and I am gonna use, I'm trying to decide, should I use strawberry slush or pecan pie? Maybe I'll stick with the pecan pie. I'm afraid the strawberry slush won't be dark enough to see. So I'm gonna put the Happy Belated Birthday. Let's test that. All right. Oh, that just doesn't look like it's, nope. Good thing I stopped. You know, you really want to look at the ink on your stamp before you stamp it. Make sure you pay attention. Okay, so that's the inside layer. And then since I did that, I know I'm going to go ahead and stamp with the other sentiment. Stretch out the celebration because I think it works perfectly with this card. You're kind of stretching out the card, right? So let's bring that out. I'm sorry I missed you. Let's stretch out the celebration. I'm sorry I missed your special day. Let's extend the celebration. And the card extends. Don't you think that's cute? All right, let's see. Yep, there we go. Okay. Cute, cute, cute. All right. So this will go on the inside, and I didn't really leave you a lot of room. Oh, okay, I'm gonna put that on the inside first. I didn't leave you a lot of room to, I could do that. Write anything other than your name. So if you wanted, you could put a panel on the back and add your name and add a little area where you could write a little note. This, I'm just centering it on all four sides, trying to get it as close to center as I can. I know this one covers it up because it's larger, so I'm not worried about that. See, let's extend the celebration. I think that's a cute little play on words. All right, and now I create my coneflower. I'm gonna cut this top part off. I'm gonna curl my edges just very gently, and notice how I'm holding here so that I don't accidentally pull the petals right off the base. I'm gonna do that a little bit here too. Those to curl, those are a little stronger, so it's not as big of a deal. And then I'm gonna attach that here, and I'm going to attach it, I want it to be a little bit low so that you can see the petals. So that one will go a little low, and this one will go a little bit higher so that you can see them underneath. So I'm only attaching it at the center there. And as I said, I'm kind of attaching it a little bit on the low side. Here we go. And then this is going to go a little bit higher, so I don't want to put glue adhesive too far up. And I can come in, and if I need to, I can trim off that little, you see where it's there? If that bothers you, you can come in and trim that off. I don't really think it's a big deal, but trim that thing right off. Easier said than done. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now I couldn't decide. The reason I didn't make this at the beginning was because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to use the strawberry slush. Ooh, that's pretty. Can you see that in the camera with that foil? That's pretty. Or there's a petal pink as well, which is a little bit lighter. So I wanted to kind of wait until I had the card put together. Ooh, that's really pretty too. Oh, I don't know. Let's see when we put that on there. I think I'm gonna stick with the darker, primarily because I feel like it shows up better on the pecan pie. I think the pecan pie kind of gets lost with the other. I don't know why, but I think you could use either one. You could emboss, you could just use cardstock and emboss it. You know, we have that, what I used in this one, let me bring that back in and show you, was I used that paper that's got the embossing already on it, and I used the blending brushes with the lemon lolly to do some shading on there. You see that? Which is really pretty too, but I wanted to try something different with this card to kind of give you some other options. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here before I attach the flower so that I make sure that the flower, the edges of the flower don't go outside the card base. So I don't have any issues with it when I put it in the envelope. It is kind of thick, kind of a thick card, so you might need extra postage. I would say, see what you think when you have it all together, but this might be one that's better given, yeah, I like that, in person. Okay, so now we're just gonna assemble our flower. And you see we've got our happy belated birthday. And so I think I will put this on first. I know I want it about there, and I'm gonna just lightly do that. Especially with the foil, you don't wanna get adhesive squishing out because it just messes up the foil. And I can trim that off if I need to, but I really won't need to. So let's just give that a minute to kind of get sticky because foil is a little tricky. And then I'm gonna just lay that there. Yeah, I guess I could go ahead and adhere that now. Now, again, I want to be careful where I put my adhesive because I don't want it to come over the top there. And some of the flower, I do want the flower to kind of hang off a little bit on both sides. So I'll make sure my adhesive stays more on this side so that I don't accidentally glue my card shut. Yes, I did that right. Right. Maybe I should do it this way. That's fine. And then the leaves. Let's see. One that way and one like that. So because there's plenty of layers here, I'm not going to pop these up on dimensionals, but you could do that if you want. But I think I decided, yeah, just to keep it flat. You have to be careful with that foil because it's slippery. All right, let's see. The holographic resin dots are really kind of fun. So you can use those. We also, we've got a couple of strawberry slush. Dots, you could use those. But I thought these were kind of fun. It kind of echoes the foil, the glitteriness of the foil. I'll put that one there. Cute. Oh, the envelope. Let's just go ahead and do the envelope, and I'm going to use the same thing basically I did on the inside of the card with the petal pink, but I want it, not petal pink, excuse me, pretty in pink, but I want it to be light. So I am going to go ahead and stamp it off. Yes, it's really light, but you can still see it. I hope you like this card. What do you think? Do you have a preference for one over the other? I think they are both really cute, aren't they? I don't know, I like the pink. A little more vibrant colors in here. This is a little bit softer. It's your day. I love that I've known you for so many birthdays. I thought that was really pretty sentiment as well. So this one we did, happy belated birthday. I'm sorry I missed your special day. Let's extend the celebration. Wonderful sentiments. I hope you love this as much as I do. And if you're ever in the Greensboro, Georgia area, I hope you'll visit me and come to one of my classes. Oh, wait, I forgot the ribbon. Oh my goodness. Okay, one last thing, gold striped mesh ribbon. Gotta add that. But yes, if you are in the area, I would love to have you at one of my classes. If you like what you see, you can subscribe to my channel and get notified when I upload other videos. Some of the videos are cards I made in my class. Some are just in separate videos just because I love to create and I have a lot of fun sharing it with you. If you want to know about my classes or some of the created home classes, the take-home classes that I offer, I suggest you join my newsletter. I put out, about once a week, sometimes a little more often if something special comes along that I feel like you need to know about, something Stampin' Up! News. But I try to keep it, I don't want to clutter up your inbox. But I do include free tutorials in my newsletter. So things that I maybe don't necessarily do in class, but would love for you to follow along. You can purchase any of the items that I used today in my online store, craftyherondesigns.com. Oh, now I got to move that dot. Okay, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. It helps other people find me. And it also lets me know that you liked it and maybe want to see more. There There we go. Let's put that there instead. One more thing. I think I want to trim that guy up a little bit. There we go. All right. Let me know if you have a favorite, the strawberry slush or the lemon lolly. Have a great day. I hope you find some time to craft this week. And again, thanks for joining me. Bye for now.